What up, Bengals fans? Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us here on the Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, I have the top 3 free agent targets for your Cincinnati Bengals. We will get to all of that and more coming up in just a few moments from right now. Before we do, folks, we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers here on the Bengals Breakdown, but we need your help to get there. So here's the deal. Hit that sub button. You may be asking, well, why should I sub? Well, if we get to 1,000 subscribers and we grow this channel, then that will allow us to allocate more resources to be able to bring you more Cincinnati Bengals content. So if you want more coverage like you're seeing today, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, make sure all of your fellow Who Dey fans out there subscribe to the channel as well so we can cover your favorite team like no one else does in true Chat Sports fashion. Subscribe now for more videos, youtube.com/BengalsTV. Does not cost you a thing. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. On today's show, we're talking about the top 3 free agent targets for Cincinnati. Look, this team was awfully close to making the Super Bowl this past season, but what can they do to take that next step to be in the Super Bowl compared to what they were just a year ago again to bring Joe Burrow and company their first Super Bowl title? We'll have a couple names to keep in mind for that. Let's start at the tight end position, and that is where we find Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins of this spot. We already know that Gesicki is going to be gone, more than likely leaving Miami, but he had some good moments there with the Miami Dolphins over the last couple of seasons. And when you look at this receiving core there in Miami of the players that involved, he seems like he could be a natural fit to this Cincinnati Bengals team, going from one explosive offense to another. The statistics of what he's done the last 2 years, you can see last year's numbers were down quite a bit from what they were in 2021. But focus on 2021 for a second here, folks, and you see what he did there. 73 catches, 780 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he was just terrific there in 2021. You add him to Joe Burrow, and you could be talking about a guy taking the next step. He could really flourish with Joey B as his quarterback and be quite a dynamic duo, and also take away the possibility of double teams on Jamar Chase at times potentially if you have to factor in the tight end position there as another option. So that's one name to think about there. And now we go to number 2. That's where we find Yannick Ngakoue, the defensive end from the Indianapolis Colts. And Ngakoue seems like a guy that more than likely will not be back with the Indianapolis Colts this next year. Indy is in complete rebuild mode. They got a lot of problems with this team. And so this is a guy that, after all of what Indianapolis has gone through the last couple of seasons, is looking for somewhere else potentially to go to get a fresh start, to be on a contending team. And according to ESPN, the Bengals are the best fit for that. That going from just what's been a bad situation there in Indy to stay in the Midwest and go to Cincinnati could be the jolt that Ngakoue needs for his career. Here's what ESPN had to say about Ngakoue. He led the Colts with 9.5 sacks last season, and he has totaled 65 over 8 NFL seasons. There will be a market for Ngakoue, but finding the right team fit and situation is tough, given that he'll be targeted as a sub-package player. The Bengals feature a defense that produced only 30 sacks in 2022, 29th in the NFL, and a short-term deal makes sense, allowing them to slot Ngakoue as their nickel pass rusher. He shows a good burst and ability to bend around offensive tackles. So there you have it there. Last on the list, certainly would help the Bengals go up against maybe their biggest competition in the AFC, and that is Orlando Brown of the Kansas City Chiefs, starting left tackle who's been there the last couple of seasons. Remember, they brought him over from the Baltimore Ravens in a trade. And this past year in the Super Bowl, I would argue that Orlando Brown played the best game of his entire career so far at this point with that performance that he had against that elite Eagles pass rush without giving up a single sack. The entire Chiefs offensive line did. And here's the deal. Protecting Joe Burrow must be a priority. We have seen Joey B already get knocked out for a season, right? And then the years that followed, he has taken a lot of hits, and you don't want Joe Burrow to get hurt again. You have to protect the quarterback. You have to make that a priority Because if you don't, then you're asking for Joe Burrow to get hurt again. So management needs to do whatever they can do, whether it's guys like Orlando Brown, whatever it need be. They have to improve this offensive line if they want to protect Joe Burrow and think about him for the long term and moving forward. So I think Orlando Brown makes a lot of sense as far as I'm concerned. Should the Bengals sign Orlando Brown? Let us know in the comments section. Type S for sign, type P for pass, and get active in the comments section. I know a lot of you may be new to how we do things here at Chat Sports, but this is something that is a great way to engage with our audience and be a part of what we do each and every day is by just getting rowdy in that comment section, sharing with us your opinions and how you feel. S for sign, P for pass. Feel free to elaborate on if you think the Bengals should sign Orlando Brown or not. So here is the list once again of Bengals free agent targets. Let's see who they could possibly end up with, whether it's one of those three or some other guys. We'll continue to cover this team like no one else does here on the channel. Subscribe today for free, and you'll be glad you did. We'll see you next time right here on the Bengals Breakdown.